Lucasfilm is discussing Star Wars after the sequel trilogy. The Mandalorian executive producer Jon Favreau suggests that Lucasfilm is discussing options for the next Star Wars film set after the sequels. The Mandalorian creator Jon Favreau revealed that Lucasfilm is examining options for the next stage Star Wars, which could take place after the events of the sequel trilogy. The controversial trilogy came to a close in 2019 with Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, which was marketed as the end of the Skywalker saga. However, many of the characters live on, and the door closing on the Skywalker bloodline doesn't mean the next Star Wars film can't include the sequel trilogy's participants. In an interview with Movie TV, Favreau touched on discussions Lucasfilm has internally about navigating the timeline and exploration Star Wars stories to be told after the sequels. There's definitely a conversation that's going on. And also what happens after the sequel trilogy, because the sequel trilogy only takes place over the course of a few years. And it's a big thing on the screen, and it's very eventful. But it is a relatively brief moment in history over the course of the thousands of years that Star Wars takes place. And so what happens after it is interesting too, and I know that there's some discussion, exploration going on about what happens after it. As a storyteller in the era leading up to the sequel trilogy, Favreau would naturally be a part of the conversations that could be shaping the future of the franchise. The time period after the rise of Skywalker is a blank slate, leaving room for new creators to paint on the canvas. When will Lucasfilm reveal the future of the Star Wars galaxy? Overall reception to the sequel trilogy was mixed, to put things generously, begging the question of if the next Star Wars film should be set in that period. Various reports have indicated Damon Lindelof's Star Wars movie will be announced at Star Wars Celebration in April, and at least some characters from the sequel trilogy are said to be involved. Whether it's the main players like Rey and Finn or lesser-known entities returning to grace the silver screen remains to be seen, with everything hinging on the trajectory of the story. The state of the galaxy is essentially a copy of the post-Return of the Jedi point in the timeline, and a direct repeat of the stories told in 4ABY would be met with more grumbling. Without the sequel era's most interesting character in Ben Solo being around to explore the galaxy and the Skywalker family now officially extinct, any tales after the rise of Skywalker would have to either center on the New Republic rebounding or Rey completing what Luke was supposed to do with the Jedi Order. While these threads could be explored in shows, it's likely the next Star Wars film will be following the sequel trilogy's events, with more news to come from Lucasfilm in a month's time.